Hi, and welcome to Intuitive Insights. On this channel, we discuss everything to do with the ascension process. Today, we're going to be talking about Venus and the Venus retrograde, which is happening from May 13th until June 25th, 2020. This is going to be, as we always say, a very intense retrograde. And what makes this retrograde so intense, when looking at in reference to all the others that we're going to be also experiencing, is the fact that Venus is one of our personal planets. And what that means is that Venus and Mercury both never stray too far from the sun. So these are like two other integral parts of our personality. We have Mercury, which represents our mind and the way that we think. And we have Venus, which represents our relationships, right? It represents not only our relationship to others, but our relationship to self, which of course is the relationship that decides and is mirrored back to us by all of our relationships with others. And so this is going to be a very emotional retrograde. It's going to be one that really digs deep within us and takes us to those places and helps us to discover how it is that we do or do not love ourselves, how we could love ourselves better, and how we can then in turn love others better. And so we're going to get into all the different things that are going to be coming up or could possibly come up during this retrograde. But first, I just want to get into Venus herself. Right? Like, what is Venus? Who is Venus? And so Venus, the planet, is named after Venus, the goddess, who before she was known as Venus was known as Aphrodite. And so Venus is the goddess of love. She's the goddess of passion, the goddess of desire, of creativity. She's the temptress and the seductress, right? And so the thing with Venus, though, the reason she is so successful a seductress is because she seduces us and tempts us, not with the things that we don't want and that she would like us to want, but with the things that we desire most. And so when we tap into this energy, we can really tap into the things that it is that we want, the things that it is that we desire. It's all the things that make life living, really, is the domain of Venus, right? All those things that bring us joy, all those things that inspire us, that light that fire within our souls. Like, that's what Venus's domain is. And she uses that passion to get us to tap into our own potential, right? Our own creativity, to open us up to all of the things that life has to offer. And she really wants us to experience those things, right? Like, she wants us to fully live our lives. And so we can see sort of the duality of Venus, the planet, when we look at the two different signs that Venus represents. So Venus rules Libra and Venus rules Taurus. And so the Taurian side of Venus is that seductive type of energy, right? It's that very sensual, very pleasure-seeking energy. Taurus wants what Taurus wants, and Taurus isn't really concerned with whether it's socially acceptable to want what it wants. Taurus just goes for it. Taurus is in many ways, even though many people may not perceive of Taurus like this, because they're used to just the general sort of mundane description of Taurus as a sign. But Taurus really leans into that enjoyment of that when we talk about like fully incarnating, right? Like that's part of Taurus's mission in this lifetime, is to be fully incarnated, to really be fully immersed in what it means to be a human being, what it means to be on this earth. And so, of course, love and sex and passion and all of that, but also art and all things that are beautiful. Taurus appreciates that, and Taurus appreciates that in its rawest, realest form. And then we have the Libran energy, which also appreciates beauty and is also very Venusian in nature, but is the more refined Venusian energy. And so Libra is also, when we look at relationships, it's not just about like, what do I desire? It's about what do others desire and what do others need from me. And it's about that balance. It's about that sort of social acceptability and really judging and sort of weighing one's own needs against what society expects for them and what society needs. and sort of what the cultural, the taboos, the do's and don'ts, how does society allow me to express and fulfill my needs? And how can I also at the same time fulfill the needs of the others around me? And so this is sort of the balance that we try to find with Venus, right? Is like fulfilling our own desires and our own needs while at the same time not stifling others' needs in the process and facilitating others' processes as well. And so we're really, we're getting into all of that. Venus, because she rules desire, shows us what our values are and shows us what our needs are. And she does this by showing us what we want. And so, the things that we desire most, the things that are the most aesthetically pleasing to us, those things that draw us in on a level beyond words, like those things show us what it is that we truly value. Because if we didn't truly value them, we wouldn't be drawn to them. And so that's sort of the way that Venus uses our passions to enlighten us and get us to understand ourselves better. Venus also uses relationships to do this. Relationships we can look at them as a vehicle for discovering deeper parts of the self, right? Like, how is one of the best ways that we get to know ourselves? Or how is that accomplished? It's through relationship. It's through our interactions with other people. It's through what those interactions and those people mirror back to us about ourselves. And so Venus is facilitating this constant quest for us to get to know ourselves better. And she's doing it through the relationships. And so we're going to be looking at our outer relationships. But much more importantly than that, we're going to be looking at our inner relationship, our relationship with ourselves. Like, how do we show ourselves love and compassion and kindness? How do we treat ourselves? What is the different conditioning that has led us to view ourselves a certain way? Like, when we talk about our values, it's not just like, what do we value in the outer world? It's like, what do we value about ourselves? Do we value ourselves? And if we don't, how can we begin the process of doing that? And so that's an energy that we're really going to be in and we're going to be experiencing throughout this Venus retrograde. Venus only goes retrograde roughly every 2 years. So this isn't something that we experience all the time. But when we do, it takes us into a deeper part of ourselves. We really learn about who we are at our core, right? And yes, so this Venus retrograde is going to be in Gemini. And Gemini is the sign of the twins, right? Which is interesting because we're talking about the duality of Venus. And so Gemini is a sign that has a lot of duality. And it's also going to be aspected by Neptune multiple times, which is also a sign of duality and the merging of the dualities, right, with the two fish. And so there's a lot coming up around this duality and this balancing of those dual natures within ourselves, like the nature in us that wants to please others and the nature in us that wants to please ourselves. And so I anticipate that's going to be an energy that a lot of people are sinking into and dealing with and sort of being confronted with. So Gemini, sorry, there's so much. I'm trying to like tune my focus so that this makes some sort of sense. So Gemini is a sign of the twins. Gemini is a sign ruled by Mercury, right? So it's a very mental sign. It's a very cerebral sign. Gemini wants to know. Gemini wants to explore. Gemini is all about ideas, right? And innovation and understanding different perspectives and having a variety of experiences and just collecting information, right? And so this is going to be kind of the vibe that we're in. While Venus is in retrograde, the sun is also going to be moving into Gemini. So we're going to be experiencing a lot of Gemini and intense Gemini energy during this, which is going to be interesting because with the squares that Venus is making to Neptune in Pisces, this is going to be sort of calling us to step back. So we're going to be, once again, there's another push-pull there, right? As far as like wanting to reach out and wanting to communicate and wanting to share ideas and to understand understand, and then having this energy of Neptune that's asking us to step back and really asking us to quiet down and slow down, right? So Neptune is, we talk about this, we use this term a lot, right? The great dissolver. Neptune is asking us to release, to surrender, to allow our intuition to come into play, to think about things from a higher spiritual I don't know what the word I was looking for, but consciousness, like to think of everything in the terms of that, right? Like Neptune and Pisces are all about like higher love, spiritual love, higher consciousness. It's this process of suspending, and this has been coming up a lot, right? Suspending the logic and sinking into the feeling and the intuition of things. Very much looking at the bigger picture. So we may be understanding the bigger picture when it comes to a lot of aspects in our lives, especially when it comes to the things that we value, when it comes to the self-value, when it comes to our relationship, our outer relationships. Like we may be understanding or being asked to look at more of that during this time. You know, Neptune is about forgiveness, right? So there's going to be a heavy theme of forgiveness, like really learning and coming to understand things from other people's viewpoints and feeling compassion and forgiveness for them, and feeling compassion and forgiveness for ourselves. Like this is going to be a retrograde where we're really going to be asked to take responsibility for our lives and to take responsibility for the state of our relationships and the way that love is reflected back to us through our experiences in the world, by understanding like what in us has created this. Like what are we here to, what is it teaching us? Why did we choose this, right? Kayla and I talk about this a lot, how we choose everything. So like, why did I choose this? And really getting deeper in touch with that and having aspects of that revealed to us. We have, in addition to all of the squares to Neptune being made throughout this, we also have Venus coming into a sextile with Chiron, and also with true black moon Lilith. And so this is interesting. It speaks to a deeper level of healing going on, like a profound level of healing going on, as far as like our the wounded self, right? Like these wounds that affect our relationships, and really getting a deeper understanding of that, like where those come into play, whether this be wounds from childhood, whether this be wounds from past lives, even some of us may be healing that kind of stuff, right? And just how that plays out in our relationships and how that plays out in our lives, and how especially the messages that we were given by others, whether in childhood or throughout our adulthood later on, helped us or caused us to determine whether or not we were worthy of love, and whether we're ready to release those stories. And as we understand how these experiences helped us to determine our worth based on outside perception, we see how that's been influencing the patterns that have been created in our own relationships, our own internal self-talk, right? And the external manifestations of that, because everything is a mirror, everything is a manifestation, as within, so without, right? And so we're really getting a deeper understanding of as within, so without during this retrograde, and sort of what that means for us. It's just really getting us into just opening up the heart, opening up that heart chakra, opening that up for some, also that second chakra, right? Our passion, our heart, just really showing us and getting us in touch with what it is that we are passionate about, and why it is that we're passionate about that, and what certain things represent to us, like always, like what's underneath it, right? We have the Pluto retrograde going on right now, so that's really going to facilitate us going deeper into this process between the conversations with Neptune and the Pluto retrograde. I mean, just really sinking very deeply into that process of like peeling away those layers, right? And just seeing what's underneath, I'm trying to think if there's anything else important that I wanted to bring up before we get into the cards. I think that pretty much sums it up. We're gonna be getting the opportunity to release a lot of old stories that don't serve us anymore, and to create new stories and to understand what it is that we wish to create, right? Venus is all about creation. It's that feminine energy. So like, what do I want to create? What have I been choosing? And now that I understand why I chose those things and what it was that I chose, do I want to choose something different? And am I ready to do that? Am I ready to embrace that? And when we bring in True Black Moon as well, you know, there we talked about this. I don't know what it was. It's hard for me to keep track at this point. But in another video, sort of the wounding of the divine feminine and the relationship between the masculine essence and energy and the feminine essence and energy, and that relationship between those two energies in ourselves, and how we can bring that into balance, and how our own feminine energy has been wounded and how we can heal that, right? So that's going to be coming up as well. There's going to be so much stuff coming up, and it's going to play out in our outer lives. So this is an internal journey with the retrograde, but it's very possible that in order for us to understand some of these deeper subconscious issues, we're going to be presented with, you know, that outer manifestation of that triggers us to look deeper. And so we could expect possibly for people to come into our lives who are going to trigger this for us, for people to return from the past in order to show us things about ourselves. Just so many possibilities. I mean, this is a short, as far as the retrograde goes, it's pretty short, but it's an intense one. So there's so many possibilities of what could happen, but it's just like allowing ourselves to experience, like, not to resist, you know, don't resist the tides, don't resist the flow, don't resist what spirit is showing you, and don't ever feel like it's wrong to want the things that you want. Like, our dreams and our desires were put here for a purpose, right? Like, that's sort of how we're drawn along our path, is when the things that beckon to us the most are the things oftentimes, I mean, you have to be able to differentiate between a positive vibrational energy and a lower vibrational energy. But even the lower vibrational energies are sort of beckoning us so that they can reveal aspects of our shadow that are ready to be healed, right? So it's still the same thing. Anything that beckons to us does so for a reason. And it helps us progress along our path. It gives us the growth that we need, the wisdom that we need. It teaches us more about ourselves and what it is that we want. And it brings us closer to our soul purpose and our soul mission, which is being revealed for many throughout this process of 2020. We have lots of other retrogrades starting this week. We have Jupiter and Saturn also both going retrograde, and there will be videos on those coming out as well. While, as I said, Pluto is still in retrograde. So it's a lot of, like, we're being taken on this internal journey, and we're questioning and reevaluating everything that we thought we knew and understood about ourselves and about life. And it's just allowing that process, like embracing that Gemini energy in the way of, like, Gemini isn't afraid to question. Gemini is very curious. Gemini just wants to know. And Gemini doesn't hold on to one idea or one version of what reality is supposed to look like, because Gemini is just like, well, what else is out there though? Like, okay, this is cool, but like, what else? You know, what are the possibilities? And just opening up our mind to what are the possibilities, right? We always talk about this, and we always talk about this idea of, like, all possibilities are possible. And so nothing that you can dream is beyond your capacity to achieve, and just really sinking into that and knowing that. And it's really, I mean, this retrograde, we're going to be thinking a lot about relationships and people and, you know, our desires in that way, right? But it's like, we're going to be looking deeper than that too. And it's like really coming to a place of self-love, self-acceptance, and self-understanding on a level that we've never had before. If we're willing to do the work and we're willing to look at what Venus is wanting to show us during this retrograde. And I mean, that's just absolutely amazing. That's, you know, the heart is the key to everything. So healing that heart, I mean, is such a profound and important aspect of this spiritual journey and this ascension process. So yeah, without further ado, I think we're going to get into the cards. And actually, yeah, we're pretty early in the game today. So I wasn't sure if I was going to save and maybe pull some tarot spreads for a separate video on this, whether we had time. But I'm wanting this deck again. I love the Moonology deck is calling to me. So we're going to start with this, but we may get into some tarot. I may save that for another later video to get into some more specific situations. We'll just see where the energy takes us. All right. Venus retrograde 2020. What can we expect? What guidance? Venus retrograde 2020. Venus retrograde 2020. Interesting. We have some of the same, some of these cards that just keep wanting to come out, right? Okay. Yeah, a lot of the same cards. This is so interesting. Okay, so we have a personal issue reaches resolution. Full moon in Cancer. And so, yes, during this period, as we get to know more about ourselves, we fall in love with ourselves more deeply. We understand more about ourselves, our desires, our motivations, what lies underneath all that, what it is that we want, what it is that's worth working for, you know, where our passions lie. And we get to understand also more about each other, right? We talk about like getting to understand the other side of the story, right? Really, really just that's that Libra energy where the Libra part of Venus comes in, right? Is like really being able to see from another person's point of view and also being able to take responsibility, like we talked about, for our own actions and our own choices, and to know that we are choosing everything that we experience. And so a lot of that knowledge and understanding is going to help a personal issue come to resolution. Whether this is a personal issue within yourself or an issue with a significant other or a family member. I mean, when we talk about relationships, we're not just talking about romantic relationships. We're talking about all relationships. So we're talking about our families. We're talking about our friends, our children. There's so many different relationships, and of course our relationship to ourselves. So it could be when we talk about this stuff, think about it in terms of any or all of those things and gaining insight into all of those things. And so, yeah, I mean, through this process of really being able to understand each other's viewpoints and being able to understand how we've created situations and just really healing ourselves, there will be issues that do come to resolution. You know, it's I'm being drawn to this card right now. Communication is key. New moon in Gemini, right? Venus in Gemini right now. And yeah, just the communication piece, that Gemini energy, being able to talk, being able to communicate, but like also like knowing when and how to communicate the things that we need to communicate, and, you know, having the courage to communicate those things. Yeah, I'm being drawn, when I said courage, I got drawn to the full moon in Leo. Don't let pride get in your way. So having the courage to communicate those things, right? But okay, so we're going from personal issues reaching resolution, and then we have your commitment is being tested and believe in the impossible. And so this card comes up a lot, right? I believe this is the blue moon card. Yeah. And so it's like our commitment to our goals, our commitment to the things that we are trying to manifest, right? Like, I feel like there's messages that come through pretty often for some of you who are in the process of trying to manifest things. And so it's, yeah, that commitment is being tested, that commitment toward your goals, that commitment toward the things that mean the most to you. There is being tested during this time, and not necessarily in a bad way, in the way of like, what I'm getting is just like, it's being tested in the way of like, is that what you really want though? Is it? And if it is, like, are you willing to continue to put in the effort to get it? And if it's not, like, that's fine. We can revise at any time. Just like, let me know. It's like Spirit saying, let me know what you want to do so that we can get this party going. But like, you know, it's a check-in point. It's a point of being able to say, you know, like, do we want to go this route, or do we want to go a different route? And if we do want to go this route, like we said, one, like, we gotta, there's some more work to do. There's some more things that have to happen if we do want to go this route. We're resolving a lot of the obstacles and the blocks are being resolved if we allow them to. I'm getting that too, where the personal issue reaches resolution. If we allow these blocks to be, and I'm being drawn to the crab too, I'm being drawn to Cancer. So this may have to do with family. Cancer is the mother, right? It's that nurturing energy. It's that familial energy. So especially issues around the family and the home. Those are the blocks there, and the things that were perceived as blocks, but were really just put there as, lessons and opportunities, and just other ways for us to learn more about ourselves, right? All of those things. Like some of those obstacles are being removed. I'm thinking of Ganesha right now. And there will be harmony around that in, whatever way, shape, or form. We got this again on the bottom of the deck, New Moon in Cancer. You and your loved ones are safe. All right. But then like your commitment is at the same time being tested, and you're being asked to believe in the impossible. It's like, how committed are you, and how deep is your faith? Do you trust spirit? Do you trust that things are going to work out? I mean, the cards are telling you that they are, but like, do you trust that? And do you believe that you can have what it is that you desire? Do you believe that is available to you? Do you believe that the goals and the intentions that you've set are capable of being manifested? Because like the energy is saying that it very much is, if you believe, and if you don't let pride get in your way. This means having the uncomfortable conversations, right? This means stepping out of the comfort zone. This means like being able to admit where we were wrong, and not wrong. I mean, right and wrong. We talk about this all the time, but being able to admit where we made a mistake and like taking ownership of that. And that leads back into this idea where we, when we were talking about how we're going to come into an ownership of our emotions and our feelings, and come to own the situations in our lives and how we contributed to those, especially when it comes to relationship and to things like that in our outer world. This could also apply for some people to finances and their financial situations. Venus also rules finances. She rules all of the physical, the physical manifestations of wealth, abundance in spirit, abundance in love, abundance in finances, and all of those, all of that stuff. So for some people it could be, there could be issues of that coming up as well that they're working through. But yeah, don't let pride get in your way. Like, it's okay to admit when we kind of fumbled the ball a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, we don't have to be perfect. If we're waiting for perfection, we're going to be waiting a long fucking time, because we're human. We're on this spiritual journey, and at our core, we are divine spiritual beings, but we're also human. So like, don't let that pride get in your way. Have the courage to have the conversations that you need to have. Don't let pride get in your way. And also don't let pride get in your way when it comes to other people's expectations of you and wanting to look a certain way to certain people, right? That's part of that push and pull that we're having with the duality of Venus, right? Is like the social acceptability, and like, what does everyone expect of me, and like, what is taboo and what is not, and how am I upholding this like finessed image, right? And through upholding that, perhaps denying myself some of the things that are most important to me, and like not living in my integrity as a result of that. And how can I step out of that cycle and end that cycle, not just for me, but for the other people in my family, for the other people in my culture, for the collective energy. Like, how can I move outside of that and create something new? And it's just like letting go of pride, believing in yourself, believing in the impossible, and communication, like honest communication that doesn't protect the ego. Like, we can't be worried about protecting the ego right now. Like, the ego is being broken down. 2020 is breaking all of that stuff down. It is turning us, it is pressing us. It's like, they talk about when a diamond is created, right? Like the pressure that creates that. It's like, that's what 2020 is that pressure that's creating that diamond. And you are that diamond. But, you have to be willing to go through that process. And to discuss and to speak your truth. That comes up all the time. It's coming through again. Speak your truth. Speak your goddamn truth. Like, I can't say it any other way. It's coming through so strongly. And don't worry, guys, this is a message for me just as much as it is for you guys. It's like all of us, we have to be willing to speak our truth. And yes, we have to do that in a way that is kind and compassionate, you know, balancing that Taurian and that Libran energy, right? But like, we have to be willing to do that. And we have to be willing to, what's coming up for me right now is also just the curiosity thing, like being curious, being playful. Like, that's also with the lion, right? With the Leo energy in this card here, is like being playful with things and like just figuring out, allowing ourselves to become flexible, right? Allowing ourselves to become flexible and to just be open. Like the Gemini energy we talked about, it's open to new ideas, it's open to new perspectives. It's just like, okay, so how can we do this? How can we make this work? And just kind of thinking outside the box, right? Like that maverick kind of thinking. Yeah. So I don't know, that was coming up. And then we have, what do you need to release? Waning moon. So it's just releasing all of those old stories, all of those old patterns, all of that old stuff that's been holding us back and holding us down, and sort of kind of determining the way we live our lives, and maybe causing us to live our lives in a way that is not beneficial for us. And yeah, just releasing and letting all of that shit go too, you know. So yeah, that's what the Moonology cards have to say. And we are going to go into the tarot. We're going to see what the tarot has to say right now. So, clear. All right. So we are talking about Venus retrograde. What are some energies that we are going to be experiencing during Venus retrograde? What are some energies that we're going to be experiencing? Some situations. Oh. Okay. That kind of just popped out at me in a really interesting way. So we'll go with that. Energies that we're going to be experiencing during Venus retrograde. Okay. It's telling me to stop there. All right. So we have the Queen of Cups. So this is the energy of, just like we said, like being open and receptive. Being open and receptive to our emotions, to our desires. You know, the Queen of Cups is very much ruled by emotion. I mean, she's in the process. She rules her own emotions, right? Like, she's not a slave to her emotions, but she very much knows how to feel them and how to sink into that energy, right? Like, this is this water sign energy, you know, Scorpio, Cancer. Why am I having trouble remembering the water sign right now? But, you know, there's three. Sometimes my mind just goes blank. But, yeah, it's that Pisces. It's the water sign energy, right? And so we have, like, Neptune in Pisces, right, which is affecting this as well. And, but, yeah, just sinking into, and that's, yeah, I'm getting that a lot from this, too, is that Neptune in Pisces energy that's squaring off against Venus multiple times during this retrograde is just really allowing us to surrender and sink into that aspect, and to allow that when we get into these states of confusion, to allow that to guide us back to where we need to be, to allow that to sort of, like, we're going to be so in our heads a lot of the time, right? Because it's all this Gemini, this cerebral mercurial energy. And so when that gets too overwhelming, to sink back into that emotional space, to open ourselves up. This is also about opening up the heart. The Queen of Cups, she operates from an open heart center. And so just really allowing our heart centers to open and to release the things that need to be released, and to just really own that energy. I also forgot to say, on June 4th, we're going to have Venus during her retrograde cycle conjunct the Sun. And this is going to be happening right around eclipse time. So this is going to be like a moment of clarity for a lot of people. Coming up, if we're allowing ourselves to be confused, right? Like the Neptune energy is very confusing. We're probably going to have so many competing desires, and just emotions and memories and different things going on within us, during the first half of this retrograde cycle. And that's going to be a moment between the eclipse and when Venus is conjunct the Sun, that's really going to give us just these flashes of insight and awareness, and sort of help us to integrate some of the things that we've been learning. So that's going to be a really important energy. And then as we integrate that stuff, that's when we step into the Emperor energy, right? The Emperor is Aries energy, but the Emperor is somebody who's like, when I think of the Emperor, I think of like Saturnian type energy, right? Like he's very cool, he's very calm, he's very collected, he's very methodical. He understands his responsibilities, and he understands how to execute them effectively. He also understands what it is that he wants, and he knows how to get that too, and he's not afraid to go after that. So this is an energy that we're going to be experiencing or embodying or working towards achieving as well. Is like this really efficient, effective energy where we're very effective in the world. And it's like we've learned through this Queen of Cups energy what our desires are, and we've experienced those emotions, and we've allowed that to integrate, but then we take action as the Emperor, and we move forward from this place of knowing and this place of authority, right? The Emperor is very much a sign of authority. We become our own authority. We gain authority over our minds and our emotions and all of those stories that were holding us back. And then another energy we have here is the Seven of Swords. So this is like mischief, deceit, things not being quite what they are. And so this is an energy that is likely to come around when we have this Neptunian influence as well, because Neptune is the dissolver. Neptune, everything's hazy, everything's unknown. We're kind of confused. We don't really know what to do or what we're looking at, you know? And people's motivations, like it's a mystery to themselves sometimes. So of course it's going to be a mystery to us, and it leads us into that deceptive kind of behavior sometimes. So that is an energy that we may be encountering, whether in ourselves or in other people. It may just be that like we don't know what the fuck it is that we think or how we feel at some points during this cycle. So like, how are we going to communicate that to another person? Or how are we going to act in a way that, in the way of this Emperor, in this energy, if we have no idea what's going on? And so it's just allowing that process to be what it's going to be too, and just expecting that we may encounter that kind of energy. And so this is really a time where like big major decisions are best left until after this retrograde cycle completes. It's not very long. It just goes until the end of June. Just really use this time to take stock and to not necessarily take everybody at their word, because we're in this process of like the fog being lifted from our eyes, right? But we may still be deceiving ourselves at some points too. So like, we want to be careful that we're coming from this place and not from this place. And then we have the Three of Cups on the bottom of the deck, which is reunion, celebration. So some people may be reuniting with friends, loved ones, relationships maybe. There may be reuniting in relationships. Could be all kinds of different things. I mean, I'm getting third party from that too. So there may be some third party situations going on. I mean, it's going to be wild, you guys. It's going to be wild. But just know that everything it's bringing up is for your highest good. And so it's for you to learn. It's for you to get a deeper insight into yourself. And so, yeah, it's just working on that internal condition, working on understanding and integrating the self, right? Loving the self. Really taking advantage of that energy that shows us the places where we haven't felt lovable, we haven't felt loved, we haven't felt worthy, and like refining that so that we are attracting in high vibrational people and situations. Yeah. Clear. All right. What about any other situations? Any other situations going on? What are we working? Let's do that. What are we working on healing during Venus retrograde? What are we working on healing? What is coming up for us? What are we working on healing? What is coming up for us? Oof. Again with the Seven of Swords. Oh yeah, because I put those cards back in the deck, so it's coming back out. And the Emperors. These are major energies. Major energies coming through, guys, because they're coming back up again. So we've got the Ace of Wands, which is passion, right? So we talked about that's what Venus is. Venus is our passions. It's our creativity. So we're working on healing those cycles and like being reborn, right? This is coming up though next to the Page of Cups, which tends to be I wanted to say insinuate. It can mean like an apology. Somebody's coming forward with an apology. Sometimes it can be someone coming forward from the past to issue an apology. Of course, if they're apologizing, they probably are from the past, right? Because otherwise, what would they have to apologize for? That was a bit redundant, but whatever. Yeah, so it could be somebody. An apology that helps to spark this new beginning, or it's that this passion, this sparking of this passion leads someone to want to issue an apology. And we have the the Eight of Pentacles, which is like hard work, somebody who's really working hard and dedicated on something. And so this could be for some of you too, like the material stuff coming through, right? Working really hard to achieve your goals, working really hard to develop a new skill. Venus is the creativity as well. So there could be also a new cycle being born around that, like a renewing. I'm feeling for some of you a renewing of passion about things, about projects, different things like that maybe had got put on the back burner or that you hadn't thought about as much, and just like really re-getting interested. You guys know what I'm trying to say. Getting interested once again in things that maybe you had lost interest in for a while. Yeah, so I'm feeling that coming out as well. And I mean, we have the Empress and the Queen of Pentacles. So I'm seeing, we have the Empress, which represents Venus, right? She is everything. She is the compilation of all of the energy of all four queens in the deck. She's creativity. She's birth. She's fertility. She's, just all of the most luxurious and beautiful qualities of the feminine, right? She's nurturing, but she's also sensual and sexual. She's just like, yeah, she's ruling over her kingdom. She's ruling over her kingdom. And we've got like the harvest at her feet. We've got the waters of the emotions flowing in. It's just like, yeah. She has and she is everything. And in this, we're also having her next to the Queen of Pentacles. So it's like, this is like an extreme cycle of abundance that I'm seeing here with the Eight of Pentacles, the Empress, and the Queen of Pentacles all surrounding each other. So just lots and lots of abundance, lots and lots of good stuff coming in. It's interesting though, I'm seeing in this card right now, the way it's feeling to me, it's like the Queen of Pentacles is looking down at this pentacle. She's looking down at all this abundance, but she's still not quite satisfied. And so that may be something that's actually coming up for some of you during this retrograde, is just this feeling of like having all this abundance, but still not being happy and wanting to figure out and understand like what's going on with that. Like, what is it that I'm missing? Where is it? What is it? I have all these things that I thought that I desired, but it's still not bringing me the fulfillment that I seek. So like, what else is missing? And maybe that's where this Seven of Swords comes in again. It's like, where have I been deceiving myself and thinking that I was happy, thinking that I was content and fulfilled when I'm really not? And like, what is it that I can do to become this Empress who is like 100% fulfilled and just like sitting on her throne? In a much more, like, you can see the body language in these two cards right now. It's like she is like laid kicking back, just like holding her little scepter or whatever it is that you call that thing that she's holding, just like ruling her kingdom. And she's sitting there like, oh yeah, it's here, I've got it. Doesn't mean much. you know, like maybe I have no one to share it with, or the people that I have to share it with aren't the people that I want to be sharing it with. And just know that this is like gender neutral. So you can flip these cards around. When I say he, she, whatever, it's the energy more than anything else. So don't get too stuck. Don't get too stuck on that. Okay, yeah. So these guys, they just keep really wanting to come out. So we're just going to, I think they just wanted to be here too, you know. Or maybe it's, she's been, okay, all right, Spirit, okay. So maybe it could also be that she has been deceiving herself because she has all of this splendor, right? But really she's missing her Emperor. Maybe this is something that hasn't come in. And so this could be, I'm also feeling this not only just as like, you know, like a romantic partner or whatever, but this could also be a father energy. So there could be healing going on for people around that father energy too, and just the wounding around their childhood surrounding their fathers, and how that has played into the way that they conduct themselves in relationships. I'm feeling that as well. So yeah, that could be another thing coming up for people. And then it's just the choice point, right? We're at the choice point. We're figuring out what the intentions are that we want to set, we want to cast. What is it that we want to create? He's got the whole world right here. All of the world open and available to him. So what is it that he, you know, wands are desire, right? Their passion, their spiritual energy. So it's like, what do I desire? What world do I want to create? And how do I want to go about that process, is what that's feeling like to me. Yeah. Yep. And then we have the strength, right? So it's like overcoming the mind, like taming the mind, taming the beast within ourselves, right? And sort of, yeah, like the quietness, the quiet that comes from that. It's like what I'm feeling from this card right now is unconditional love. It's the unconditional love, and it's the forgiveness. Like you see how she's like petting this lion, and she's so peaceful and so calm, and like this ferocious lion is calm too, because she brings him that peace. And so it's learning how to bring ourselves that peace, and also learning through this process who it is that brings us peace, and really being drawn to those people who bring us that peace, who help to calm our minds, who help to quiet that rage and that ferocity within us, and bring us that sense of peace. That's what I'm feeling from that as well. That's another thing that's going to be coming up for people, is just like looking towards and wanting to create that, wanting to be that person for themselves, and also really noticing who is that person on the outside, like who brings me that as well, who complements that desire that I have for myself. Like I have to be able to do that for myself first, but also are the people in the situations that I'm in around me, are my relationships bringing me that same peace? Are they making it easier, or are they another thing that I'm having to work at, to another thing that's causing me distress that I then need to find a way to overcome and quiet? Okay. Oop. Yep. And then we have the moon on the bottom of the deck as well. So this is illusion, right? This is that Neptunian energy. This is that the space in between worlds, right? It's like stepping into the void, stepping into that quiet space, that dissolving energy of Neptune. It's like everything that's mysterious and unknown and confusing, but it's this journey that we undertake, right? This journey into the deepest parts of our subconscious, of our unconscious minds, and just embracing. It's the unknown too. That's what I'm feeling also. The unknown, like things, situations. There's the unknown, the unexpected. It's possible that all of those things could occur or happen, and it's just allowing that process to be what it is, and just knowing like I have no control over what's happening right now. There are like anything could happen at this point, any circumstances, and just like being okay with that and sinking into that. It's like in that unknown space that spirit gets to work for us, right? So just allowing that to be what it is. Yeah. Any other advice or energies for the Venus retrograde 2020? Venus retrograde 2020. You know, I'm not reading reversals, so... Oh, she's coming back up. Yep. Yeah, I'm feeling that too. Okay. So we've got the Knight of Cups, which is emotional offers of love, offering love to yourself, offering your love possibly to others, and then putting the burdens down. So it's like being kind of battle weary at this point. You know, some of us have maybe felt like we've been fighting battles for a really long time, and we're just spiritually exhausted. And so it's like, allow yourself that time to rest and recuperate. And yeah, just put those burdens down, put it all aside for a little bit. And then the Queen of Cups came back out, of course, and she's right underneath the Emperor, interestingly enough. But the way these cards came out, it's like the Knight of Cups is approaching the Queen of Cups with the cup. And so, yeah, take that for what it is. And then we have Justice on the bottom of the deck. So this is all about, it's all about morality. It's about morals. It's about decisions. It's about karma coming around. Reaping the rewards of our karma, which isn't always negative. It depends on what we've been putting out. Sometimes it's good. Karma is neutral. It's not a punishment. It's just a balancing, right? This is the Libra energy, right? The balancing of the scales. We've also got Pisces energy here. We've got Leo energy here. We've got all of the water signs, all of the earth signs, Aries. You know, like we got a lot of energies going on here. But Justice is the Libra energy, which is, that other side of Venus, right? So that weighing our morals, it's like, what are my morals, and are they dictated by what's true for me, or are they dictated by society? And like, how much am I going to live my life by what society deems to be morally just? What I believe society expects of me. And it's interesting because right underneath that, I got the Ace of Cups, right? So it's like, which this is all the self-love, all of the self-love above all else, and new romantic cycles, new love, just like all the goodness of love, right? So that's right underneath that. So situations that require justice and receiving that justice, and like underneath that, all of that energy, and really sorting through and weighing out that energy of, I think what I was just talking about, right, is like what is true and what is meaningful to me. Where does my own morality sit? How can I decide that for myself and then act according to that? And some of the good karma that we got from acting according to our morals and sticking to those, but also like learning how to like stand by our own internal moral compass, right? Like as we learn how to do that, then this comes in, and we're blessed with this. This is some of those karmic rewards that are coming our way. Yeah. So we're gonna close the tarot with that. But yeah, I mean, the overall clearly energies that wanted to come out the most for that were the Emperor and the Queen of Cups. So it's the heart opening, being open, allowing that love in, right? Allowing that heart chakra to open, and allowing ourselves to step into our inner power and our inner authority. Are like two things that are very, very much, So we're going to do, clear. Do we have any cards from the Ascended Masters to finish this out with? Oh, lots and lots of cards here. I think those just didn't get shuffled, so... So this one definitely wanted to pop out. Phases and cycles. There is a beginning within every ending. We got this card all the time. Illusions are revealed and released. So we're coming to know ourselves on a deeper level. We're coming to know what it is that we desire, what it is that fuels us, what it is that inspires us, right? And there's going to be endings and there's going to be beginnings throughout that, it's going to become more clear to us where there need to be endings and where we really wish for new beginnings. And it's just understanding that, like, and it's not like anything, like, we think if we let go of one thing, that means that it's going to be, it's dead and gone forever, right? But it's like, as soon as we release something, what we do is we give it the freedom to change form. And this doesn't necessarily just mean a person. This means when we release situations, when we release ways of thinking, ways of being, these habitual patterns, when we release that stuff, we release our attachment to it, which is what we're really being asked to do in a lot of situations, is release our attachment to everything needing to be a certain way, to the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves, which then dictate the stories we tell ourselves about other people. Like all this different stuff, right? Like when we can release that, what we're really doing is giving it room to change form. Energy cannot be destroyed. And so it's just changing form. So we may even be releasing relationships, all these different things. We're just giving it the space. We're giving spirit the space to transform it into what it's meant to be. So this is also releasing preconceived notions about other people, releasing what we thought we understood about other people and other people's motivations, other people's intentions, what we thought other people wanted, who we thought other people were to us, and just allowing all of that to become more fluid and to redefine itself. Like when we release something, we allow it to redefine itself. And if it's meant to redefine ourselves and return to us in another form, it will. But first we have to stop hanging on to the old story in the old form. And then we have Gaia Earth connection. And so I'm just seeing, like, you know, really the Earth Mother vibe. And just being grounded, staying grounded through this whole process, staying grounded, staying in our power. Yeah. And Lady Venus, downloads and understanding. Truth is being revealed. Deep insights are coming from heaven and the astral realm. Yeah. So those truths, those insights, that clarity is coming. It's going to feel really fuzzy for a while. So you just have to trust that you will know and understand what you're meant to know and understand in the time that you're meant to know and understand it. And then we're going to do a couple of these too. Queen of the Moon Oracle. Clear. All right. Venus Retrograde 2020. Venus Retrograde 2020. What can we expect to experience? Interesting. Okay. So we had creation and abundance that came up first. So abundance of spirit, like all of the harvest that comes from our hard work, and like the harvest that comes from our creativity, our ability and our willingness to really embrace our passion and acknowledge our passions and where they're going to lead us. And when we have the courage to really be honest with ourselves about what it is that we desire and what it is that we're passionate about and pursue those things, there's so much abundance that comes with that. That creative cycle is initiated, that creative cycle, creation, and that process can really begin to take flight. And so it's just brings in all of that abundance. Like everything that we're experiencing right now is bringing in abundance, and we're being able to create. We're in that creative process. Venus is that creative process, right? And then we have, I'm being drawn to this one first, the unexpected. So we talked about this, and this is another blue moon card. We had a blue moon card in the other Moonology deck. We're getting one from this one too. So it's like believing in the impossible, knowing that all possibilities are possible. I'm pulling in that energy from that card as well. The opportunities, those once in a lifetime opportunities that we don't want to miss. And then on top of that, it's just expect that unexpected things are going to happen. We mentioned that earlier during the tarot reading. Like, we don't know what's going to pop up. This card can sometimes mean unexpected visitors as well. So some of you may be getting some of those. Just that anything is possible and anything could happen. And that's a beautiful thing. That's like this fresh, invigorating energy that we're in right now. And like everything that does come in and all of these unexpected events that do occur are going to be for our growth. Everything that we're doing and experiencing right now is allowing us to grow in such deep and profound ways. and our heart. I just heard that quote from the Grinch with like his heart grew 10 sizes that day or whatever it was, or 3 sizes, whatever the fucking number is. Like that just popped into my head. So it's like really our hearts are growing exponentially. Like we're forgiving and we're embracing that love and compassion, and learning how to see things from other people's point of views, and understanding just like how our point of view might have been a little bit skewed and a little bit affected by our own wounding and our own past and our own perceptions that may have been distorted. And like we're having a level of love and compassion for people as a result of that, and as a result of all of these unexpected events that happen. And we're growing. There's so much growth available to us right now. There's so much growth available to us now, and it's all happened in divine timing. I'm noticing the little there's, I don't know if you guys can see that, but she's holding like a pocket watch or a stopwatch or something. And so it was all in divine timing too. Whatever situations are occurring or are coming back around, or wherever growth is occurring, anything that's happened that's really been like fucking you up and you haven't been able to wrap your head around it, everything was happened for your growth. That was the reason for it. There was so much growth that was going to occur because of this situation, and it's all divinely timed, and anything else that's going to transpire with it is and will be happening in divine timing. So it's just trusting that divine timing, and trusting that divine timing was always at play, even if it didn't seem that way. Ooh, that's a beautiful card. I've never seen that before. So with this growth and with this whole process, we have focus, which is just an absolutely gorgeous card. Absolutely gorgeous card. And we have, so it's interesting, right? Because she's like submerged in water up to here, right? So she's very much like allowing herself to be submerged in her emotions. She's allowing herself to be overcome and just to sink into the feeling, sink into the intuition, right? To sink into that quiet, it's that Neptunian energy, right? That Neptunian space. And just, really being enveloped in that energy. And she's just glowing. She's so beautiful. And we got the moon overhead here, right? And all of the cosmos. It's like she is just in this bubble of energy, just really just sinking into her own experience, sinking into her own process, really honing her skills of intuition, and just focusing on that internal journey. She's focusing on that internal journey, and she's also just like getting really quiet. And I'm feeling meditation through this. I'm feeling the different ways that you can quiet the mind, and just knowing that like, what you focus on, where your attention is what you create. So just being really, really cognizant of that, and really cognizant of your creative power and the power of your mind. Yeah, the power of your mind, and how that can how we can use that in a positive or a negative way. And just like really, when the mind starts getting crazy, getting back into that place of focus, which brings us to that place of balance, right? So another card about balance, which also brings up the Libra energy. It's, allowing ourselves to refocus. When we need to refocus, allowing ourselves to refocus and come back into balance. And blossoming, number 33, which is also just a gorgeous card. And so we're in this period of growth and blossoming. She's creating. She is just, a very Venusian card there as well. I want to look up, I feel like there's something else about focus that I'm missing that I want to look up. So we're going to see what the deck has to say about it as well. There's something else here. You must focus on the task at hand right now. There is no room for a scattergun approach. Put on blinkers and do not listen to gossip or negative people. If you make a mistake, it is your mistake to make. Do not waste your focus. Do not split your attention into too many places. All right, so this is about lasering our focus too. The next line says, I have a laser-like focus that serves me well. When we place our focused attention on matters, what we place our focused attention on matters. Placing our undivided focus on something means we are more likely to take action on it. We are more likely to finish something we wish to complete if we focus on it. We are more likely to plan and succeed in our achievements should we take the time to focus on how. Even something as simple as eating a meal is more enjoyable if we take the time to focus on just that, eating and all of its sensory rewards. What hinders focus? Diversion, and it is often diversions we set for ourselves or that we allow. When we are afraid of our own growth or greatness, we may procrastinate. We may place drama in our own way. We may even focus on everyone except for ourselves and never have the time to do the things we set for ourselves. Our heart's desires, therefore, never come to us. We might allow the opinions of others to get in the way, letting the criticisms and values of others affect us. This is useless. We need to forget about the gossip or opinions of others, about what our society says. This is everything we were just talking about too. Instead, turn your focus to you and what you are doing. Pay attention to you. You. We need to focus instead on what feels so deeply good to us. We got the hunger card here. What is it that you hunger for? What we really want and what we want to place our laser-like focus upon, and soon it will be ours. Yeah. That's that. I think that was a great way to wrap up that reading. Really. That was perfect. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this Venus retrograde video. Just really sink into that experience of getting to know and fall more deeply in love with yourself, because that's what this is really about. And as we fall more deeply in love with ourselves and as we get to know ourselves better, then we start to really understand what it is. We start to attract that love in our outer circumstances. We start to attract that wealth. We start to attract that abundance. And the more we know ourselves, the more we can know what it is that we truly want. And just know that like you're worth it and you deserve it. And you deserve all the good things and all the good blessings. So pay attention to what experiences are coming up, what memories are coming up, what things are triggering you, and like where are those lies that you told yourself or that other people told you that said that you weren't worthy and you weren't good enough. And like, how can we turn those around? Right? Like allow that heart to open, just embrace the unexpected, embrace like whatever those hungers are, those passions, just embrace what that's teaching you about yourself and then really decide where you want to go from there. And yeah, if you like this video, give it a like. If you want to catch more videos, hit the subscribe button. You want to do the bell with all the little wiggly things coming off the sides of it so that you're notified when we have more videos. If you're feeling confused during this process, please reach out to me or Kayla. We both do readings. Reach out to me for an energy healing session. That can be really helpful right now. We've got so much intense energy going on, and it can really help just in every way to lighten that burden, to lighten that load, to help give us clarity, to help bring peace. And so I love doing it, and I would really, really love to give that gift to you to help you through this process. So please reach out to me about that. My information's in the description box below. As I said, so is Kayla's. And we love you all so very, very much. Just embrace your inner goddess, man. Like this process of self-love, it can be so fun, right? Like embrace not just the things, the outer things that you're passionate about, but get passionate about yourself. Get passionate about how you are amazing. Like really like spoil yourself, love yourself, dote upon yourself, like feel sexy, feel empowered, feel just, liberated. Just really just sink into that energy, become the goddess of love herself. And if you're a man, whatever, sink into that divine feminine part of yourself. It's within you. Just call that into being, or, call that emperor into being. Be empowered. Be about what you're about, and don't apologize. Don't apologize for what you want, and don't apologize for who you are. Because you want what you want, and you are who you are for a reason. That's what you came to Earth to be, and that's what you came to Earth to have. And you can be, and you can have those things. So, yeah, I think that's it. Just remember that. And remember that you are divine, you are beautiful, and you are so very, very loved.